All right, and welcome back to Moon's Remorse. We've been away for a while, some scheduling issues and conflicts, but we managed to come back together with a um, grouping of a party. Um, Last session, what happened was there was a bit of a trial, a bit of an issue due to a very horrible and unsightly murder. Fortunately, the culprit was captured, and Jun, who was charged with participating in that activity, was cleared with some assistance from, um, his group that spoke good of his character and his nature, and also the defendant attorney that was granted him by his association with a known family. Um, Later that afternoon and into the evening, the group ended up going back to the tavern, which had been cleaned out. That room has been kind of quarantined, blocked off, but since the room was paid for, another room has been made ready for those who had it. And a member of the party at the end spoke to a person who looked very similar to the two attendants that had been traveling with Fomsey and the Undaunted, and stated that there is more to be seen in the ruins that they've been investigating. Fomsey takes Isaac aside and says to him that this is where they part company. They have to return back, as the other associate who's arrived there absolutely requires their attendance. He doesn't expect you to come along, as you have other matters that you have to attend to, and he leaves that evening with his company in a bit of a rush, and he seems a bit more excited than he's been since you've seen him, as if what he's going to do is something he's genuinely interested in doing, his life's work. Jun, as you kind of notice that the company is leaving and exiting out, you notice two things of import. First off, where Fomsey was sitting, shortly after everybody's kind of assembled towards the front of the door, you kind of notice that there's something left behind in the chair. And as you kind of pull it over with your eyes and kind of examine what it is, you notice it happens to be the dragon stone that was used to help deal with the dragon Freemus. And then the second thing you notice is that outside beyond the large grouping, for just a second, a bit of a flash really, you see a very familiar face who once he noticed he's noticed, he moves away. But it would appear that your good friend who you traveled to this town in the first place with is just across the way there.
I'll snatch up the rock and kind of signal him to meet me later.
He doesn't seem to. It seems like he's just inciting like what's happening. You notice that when he sees you seeing him, it kind of looks like he's just nope, kind of looking at it like oh fuck, and kind of getting away from you. Not so much a oh I'm glad to see him kind of thing. You can just kind of tell that there's something off about how the way Igama looks at you and kind of like wanders off.
I'll deal with him later. But I pick up the rock and pocket it.
Okay. Isaac, of course, you are there when that situation is happening. Is there anything that you want to say, do with Fomsey before he leaves?
Is he heading back to his Platana Marie, like home base?
So from what you gathered, he had a dig site that he was working on, and his original reason for coming out this way was because they were looking for a bit of an expert on Elvish runes, and he is heading back to the dig site to who knows. Apparently,
Does he still have his Dragon Flayer runestone, or do you?
You don't know. It's not like he was carrying it like in the open. He had it in a bag, but you presume he does.
All right, I'll just bid him a safe journey, and I'll let him know that if we run into any more dragons, we may have to seek him out. if nothing else, but for his runestone.
In his typical, good, nature, he smiles and says, "Of course, of course." And if he says if he needs any assistance with anything he finds under the ground, he will definitely get in contact with you. All right. So he leaves, and him and his company leave. Jun, are you going straight to bed, or trying to stay kind of in the tavern and carouse? What's your goal for the afternoon? Evening?
When we ended last time, I was still with Ian, so I would pick that back up.
Okay.
And talk with him and try to focus on getting to see the actual culprit.
Okay. And he says, of course. As you were kind of, paying attention to the other things, you see that someone kind of comes over to Ian and hands him off a piece of paper and walks out. But you would recognize this kind of motion as kind of like a drop, basically like a sortie drop. The Mardigan family typically regards one another either openly in cant or quietly with more express detail in letter. And he very quickly tucks that away as you kind of reapproach him, and he says, "If I recall correctly, we discussed a favor earlier, and it seems that that'll be drawn in a little bit earlier than I was anticipating," he says with a smile.
Let's go.
Oh, I'm not going anywhere. You are, though. I would highly suggest trying to discuss with your friends if they would be able to help you in dealing with some problems. And when he says that, he kind of makes a gesture with his hand, like he was putting up a hood, and you would know that that's cant for fell hoods. Basically, he's referring to the other guild that's around the area.
What do I need to know?
Well, he pulls the letter out and just sets that out in front of you, kind of slides it towards you a bit. Apparently, the family's found them, and they need to be dealt with. We don't have many that can aid you in that request, so you've killed a dragon. I'm certain this shouldn't be a problem for you, just a bunch of thieves and ne'er-do-wells.
I'll see what I can do about it.
Perfectly fair. He looks over to the paladin and says, "You may ask him for his assistance." And then he kind of looks around and he says, "I don't know where your cleric friend went. The girl."
Out of the game, we're still separated.
Yeah, the paladin would have been at the tavern. He kind of came out that way to see Famziov. Ithil is missing, the cleric. You don't know where she went. You do know that she was doing something, trying to seek out some information, but you're not sure where she disappeared to. Isaac, you'd have a bit more knowledge of that because you weren't in or brought back to holding to have your stuff taken, and have a last discussion with the lawyer. You know that Ithil actually stayed at the keep and actually got audience with the Lord, but you don't know if she's going to return back to the tavern or what.
Fair enough.
And with Famzi leaving, the only real attachment that you have still in this town, Isaac, the only reason you're still here would be Jun, which wasn't much of an attachment in the first place.
Well, he hasn't asked me for my help yet. I'm just kind of moseying around.
Yeah.
Well, he knows I'm a do-gooder, so leave it at that.
And I don't know if it came up much in your guys' dialogue, but I will have you remember, Steve, that your initial assessment of the cultists is that they were in league with a thieves guild.
Yeah, like when we found the mushroom farm and stuff.
Correct. Felhoods. I'm gonna pet this cat. You guys tell me what happens.
We're in the tavern now. It's all right.
That's right. Isaac would be there again, doing whatever Steve says he's doing. And then, besides you guys in the tavern, some farmers, some folk, some fisher folk, especially because fishing town, and I would say that there'd probably be one other individual who you haven't seen in the tavern before. It looks like he's a new arrival. And no, it's not the iconic. This is Zach's character, because that's just lazy DMing and storytelling, in my opinion.
Works for me, man.
The other individual that is in the tavern besides appears to be a dwarf. The dwarf appears to have spiked armor on and a pick. Yep.
I'm gonna write a quick note and drop it in front of Isaac and leave the tavern. And it's just gonna say to meet me where they're holding the prisoner that's been arrested for the murder. And then I leave the tavern.
Okay. All right. Isaac,
I glance at the note. I kind of lift my head and watch him leave, and then I wait an unsuspicious amount of time, then like 10 minutes. Then yeah, I'll get up and head that way.
Okay. You make a perception check. Let me know what you got.
That fucking cat, man.
I know, right? He's just watching the mouse. It's and then when I pet him, he's like, "Oh, these pigs."
Got a solid 6.
Solid 6. Okay. Yeah. So you wait an indiscriminate amount of time and head off that way. John, you make it to the keep beforehand. The guards appear to be kind of standing near shut doors, and they kind of look at you as you approach.
I'll put my hand up, a wave to them, and just wait.
They say, "Hail! How can we assist you?"
I'm just waiting for my associate.
Ah, okay. Are you following in after Master Sweet?
I'm sorry, I don't follow what you mean.
Master Sweet went in to go and speak to the prisoner. He said that he would have possibly anywhere between 3 to 6 other people coming to meet with him. You would be well aware, just so you are well aware, you left Ian back at the tavern. He didn't.
Hey, it's that boy.
He didn't leave before you.
Yeah.
His last name is Sweet.
Oh, see, I didn't know that part.
Ian Sweet, right?
I believe I will be following him, yes.
Okay. Well, he's already within. I believe he's just waiting for his fellow associates.
I suppose I'll venture in then.
Okay. You don't wait for the paladin?
I'll tell them at the door that a paladin should be shortly behind me.
Okay.
Describe them to them.
And they say the Atavian that was in the... okay, perfect. And you head on you head on inside, and when you get into the area, you see that the jailer is kind of laying out over his table, and there's a pool of blood around his head. His keys appear to be missing, and it looks like his throat was slit from behind.
I just drop my head and go get the guards outside.
You go get the guards? Okay.
Yeah, I'm not going down for another one.
Fair enough. You rush out, the guard sees you. Just about that time, the paladin's arriving on the scene. As you guys are kind of mustering and such, both of you make a perception check.
Solid 8.
10.
Okay. You guys head on in with the guard, and they say, "You swear you saw what you saw," and asking questions about what you saw. And basically, you get down to the prison cell, and what you find is that the cell door to where she must have been being held is wide open, and the assassin is laying in a pool of her own blood. It looks like she's been eviscerated.
I asked the guards to describe Mr. Sweet that came in before me.
He had a Liberty cap with a yellow band, green colored, blue shirt and vest. Just a nice-looking gentleman with dark brown hair, bit of stubble.
For all I know, that it sounds just like him.
Sounds just like him, yeah. If you guys would like to investigate the scene, just let me know. It looks like the guards are really kind of just staying back and away from it.
Yeah, I'll start looking around.
Investigation check.
24.
That's a lot better. You would notice that less eagle-eyed individuals would not be able to see it, but you notice that the blood that's basically spilled out from when she was eviscerated kind of left a bit of spatter marks on the ground, and it looks like someone trudged across those spatter marks and headed to a point up in the corner of the ceiling at the far end of the hall. It looks like there's a small vent there that possibly leads up and out, and it looks like it has been disturbed. But you're pretty certain that any other person besides you would not have caught that.
I asked the guards if they know where the vent leads.
Those lead outside. They lead out to the. They just lead out to the surface. I think that one might lead outside the walls.
Huh.
I'm just kind of bamboozled here. I'm just gonna say, John, what exactly is going on here? Is this a murderer has been murdered? Like, what do you know about this? How are you involved?
I don't know.
A lot of people are dying around him, though.
Because I know it was his friend who was originally killed, right? His wife.
Associate.
Yeah.
His waifu.
No.
It wasn't his wife. No. Yeah, it was an associate.
Was it like a bit? Well, I guess I'll ask directly. Was this girl? Was she like a business partner or something more? A friend? Or just someone you work with?
She was employed by someone I've worked for. Nothing more.
Okay. As you guys are kind of out there, you hear the guards kind of talking to someone in the background.
The body on the floor is for sure the woman I saw take out the dice roller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe is actually in Discord. That's awesome.
Joe.
Yeah, I don't know if you realize his mic is muted.
Yeah, I think his mic is muted. Joe!
So I guess justice is done here?
Hold on a second. Joe, can you do me a favor and join? It's the first option for Zoom. Let me know when you get there. But it sounds like there's a commotion kind of back where the guards are. It sounds like someone's arguing with them to get through.
No, this is not justice, my friend. This is one assassin killing another to cover tracks. This is not justice.
One of the guards kind of nods his head.
I don't think any tracks are trying to be covered here. This is... At best, this is revenge. I don't know what's going on.
If this girl dead here was put on the sands, she would have given up her employers to save her own skin, such as their type. Her rival or associate killed her to make sure she didn't talk. So
I don't know if that's true, but it is what it is.
Regardless, Joe, Astanos is present. He's actually currently having a dialogue with the guards outside. He was following the paladin this way. Basically, all that you know so far is that the paladin, Isaac, and the rogue Jun appear to be still kind of hanging out together, and Fomsey has left, and Ithel's still in the fort. But yeah, you guys know which way the assassin's assassin got out. Tracking it, him, her, it shouldn't be too hard.
We should continue our investigation. Should see if we can find where this that vent leads and see if we can stay on the track.
I suppose we could. The guard said it leads outside of town. Did he say which side of town it would lead to?
So the keep is on the north side of the town, but because this, let me go ahead and pull you to that map real quick.
We need to find out who is ordering the hits on these people, or on your friend at least.
Alright, so as you can see, the keep kind of has its butt end to the river. The jail section, do you see the steps on the far right side? They're basically underneath that. There's like a dungeon that goes underground. The airways could be like out of the tower, out of the wall, so it could have gone south, north, or east. You won't know directly where it came out unless you crawl up it. So, yeah.
We might just like circumvent the entire walls of the keep to find something.
It's that or crawl up it. It doesn't look like it's terribly narrow, so it's not something that's going to be too hard to do, even for the wider of you.
Isaac, you just said something about a hit on my friend. What does that mean?
Well, you said your associate. Was she murdered? Not murdered in cold blood at the motel or the inn?
Oh, I don't believe in cold blood. They believe what they're doing is right. It's the association. Is that the name of it, John?
The conglomerate.
Conglomerate. She's a magic user, and she doesn't have their permission to use magic, even though she can use magic. So they took it out on her.
So they killed her for it?
They killed her for not following their rules.
Judge, jury, and executioner. Sounds more like murder.
I would agree with that.
We should find out who sent her. Who's the
If
bring them to
Mr. Sweet
justice.
is the one that came in here and ended this assassin's life, I don't know anything about that.
Okay. Let's see. Joe, just give me whenever you're up and ready, just hit me with I'm here, and I'll jump to you, because they're boring me and I need direction. You're my knife!
I think our best choice here currently is, I know Ian Sweet. We've spoken before. I'm going to follow this vent outside.
Okay.
But I think once we're out there, if he's not there, he's going to be hard to find. I think we need to put a party back together. And with the loss of Bizbop, no, Bomsey, and our elf friends, we're quite short on hands.
Yeah, and if we're going to be tracking him into the wilds or out of town, we may need someone who is familiar with the land.
Smart. Do you know of anybody?
And no, I know that there are probably maybe some hunters or gatherers maybe in the village, perhaps, who are familiar with the landscape, but I don't know anyone not from here.
Right, you're smart.
But we have some
I'm gonna head to
coin.
this vent, you go find somebody, and I'm gonna get through this vent and see where it leads, and if we don't meet each other outside the walls, I'll come back in and find you.
Alright. Let's do it.
Isaac, as you're muscling your way out, you would see that Asanos is muscling his way in, apparently following you guys since, he just was curious. That said, John, you managed to get out of the vent, and when you do, you look across the river, and you see coming up on the other shore of the river, which is a good distance across, it's a pretty wide river. You see a figure coming up out of the water with its hood drawn back. It appears to have a bald head, completely gray colored. It looks over its shoulder at you with black alien eyes, and then throws up the purple cloak and starts to kind of move into the high grass outside of the river.
I'll just start firing as many bolts at it as I can.
Okay. Go ahead and take a couple of attacks. Let's go 2 attacks at disadvantage. By that time, it'll be able to get outside of your range.
That'll be an 8 and a 22 to hit.
Disadvantage, sorry. So we'll go with
7 and 12. I was looking. The chat didn't scroll for me.
No problem. So yeah, both your attacks kind of hit nothing, striking well off, and by the time it's like deeper into the grass, not only do you lose sight of it, but you definitely know it's out of range, well outside of 320 feet. But you can tell from the ground that its tracks are going to be pretty easy to follow, so long as you don't let them sit too long.
Yeah, I'm going to wait here for a few minutes to see if they come out. Where am I located? Right behind where we are?
Basically, you're right here.
Okay.
And then, Isaac, as I mentioned, you're moving up out of the prison area, and Ostinos is making his way in through the guards after mentioning and showing his cool knife that he got. I mean, that he's with you guys.
Yeah, as I'm moving past him, I'll kind of like clap him on the shoulder and be like, Ostinos, there's some foul murder asunder. We got some work to do. You know, you kind of seem worldly of this land. Perhaps we're gonna need you for tracking.
Okay. John, you stay outside and wait for Isaac to return to you with some people, right?
Yeah.
Isaac.
At the vent exit, is there only one set of footprints that are not mine?
Single set of footprints. And the other thing you notice about them is they're very light. So whoever was doing these, who was making these footprints, is very, very skilled in its movements. You can also go ahead and make an Arcana check for free, real quick, just to see if you kind of recognize what you just saw. I think you as a player probably understand what just happened, but yeah, you don't know what it was. Isaac, was there anybody else that you intended to grab up? Mercenary-wise, you know Rignar's probably not going to leave. There was a weird dwarf with a pickaxe and some spikes on his armor, but besides that...
Wait, was Rignar a cleric or was he a druid? I can't remember.
Rignar's a cleric.
Yeah, I guess the best place to go, I guess, back to the inn, see if the barkeep knows of any mercenary types who are like rangers or trackers. I know Ostinos is kind of a wandering warrior, but we could always use more eyes.
All right, as you're kind of heading back that way, Ostinos in tow, you see this dwarf kind of walk up to you that I mentioned before, and he goes, "Hey, you guys look like you're into something interesting. What are you guys doing?"
We're seeking out some hired hands for some tracking work.
Well, I'm looking for some work. It's perfect. I thought you guys were into something. Running around like you were without saying anything, not being from here.
Are you familiar with this land?
No, not really. But I tried to get hired by an elf girl, and she hired some stupid woman with dumb raps on her fist. So I'm just looking for work, man. That girl beat me up, though. I mean, I beat that girl up. Yeah, I'm looking for work.
Beat up by a girl?
No.
I don't know if I want to hire you.
What? No. What are you talking about? My name's Borin. Borin Doompick of the Doompick clan. I'll join you.
Yeah, you're boring.
Sounds like he's already accepted the job that you probably haven't even really offered him, but he sounds like he's on board.
Ooh, his salary will be 0. So Borin, do you know any rangers or trackers from town?
Nope.
You say no?
Nope. Where are we headed?
To find someone who's good at tracking.
Oh. Well, where are they going to lead us?
Hopefully to adventure and friendships.
All right. He goes along with you. You do go back into the tavern. You are told that there really aren't any guides in Squallow. There are really not any individuals who lead people out and about. No, it's not that easy either. We're not getting him in with that typical just mumble jumble garbage. But once you've got that done, do you guys head on to find Jun?
Yeah, this is the best I could do.
All right. So you've got Boren, Ostanos, and Isaac kind of walking up to you, Jun, as you stand there on the other side of the river. I'm assuming that you didn't spend that time idle. Is there anything that you wanted to do? It does look like they're, down the stream a bit. You see those little huts there. There's a couple of small, dinghies that might be able to ford the river a lot better than you swimming across. There's other things, too. What do you want to do while you wait?
Yeah, find a way across the river.
You go over and you basically give a gold piece to one of the fellows there, and they sell you their dinghy. You tell them you can get it back if you want it. Just cross the stream, and here's however much you pay him, and he's on board for that.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. They arrive, and you guys start to cross the river and head across to track the tracks. Meanwhile, not too far from where you recall kind of tracking them to, Cypress, you kind of moved to a point where you're kind of overlooking the cave itself, and you're kind of a bit more cautious than some people, other folks, and you're just trying to kind of gauge what's going on with this activity here. And again, we've discussed, why you're where you're at. You do notice that there is a single guard outside at all times.
Outside of the cave?
Correct. And he appears to be wearing the purple hood that the interlopers you saw before in your region were wearing. As far as allies, you don't really have any. I mean, as kind of a protector, it's not really something that you're to, but is there any questions that you want to ask about the cave before we move to them kind of catching up with you?
How far away am I from the cave?
However far you want to be.
Within sightline, I can see the one guard. You said I'm overlooking.
You can't. Yeah, basically, you have a position where you can be overlooking. You could also be closer to it, but basically, the cave is kind of in a small, best word for it, ravine. It's against a cliff wall, and then on the opposite side of the cliff wall, it's more of a hill up to some heavy, forested area. And I say forested, most of the trees here and also the ground is quite damp and mire-ish. And at the base of the ravine, it's basically just a fetid pond with a series of stones that kind of outlay over to where the cave is located. And sitting outside of that cave on just, a murky looking stone is this purple cloaked individual.
Okay. I'll be in the tree line there, keeping an eye on that guarded cave.
Okay. If you've been there for a while, you would note that there's probably somewhere around 12 individuals inside, which you feel is a bit more than your number, more than you could probably be able to deal with. But you notice that they leave out in sorting parties of 3. And from what you're gathering is they're going to other patches where they've basically started to grow these strange mushrooms for whatever purpose. You don't understand why they're planting these mushrooms like they are, because I don't think your character probably has much knowledge about street trade in the city world, but they apparently are growing.
Maybe not.
They're growing these mushrooms and they're killing the trees and killing the forest growth around it, which is upsetting to you.
Okay.
But again, they're coming out in groups of 3s, and I would say that a scouting group of these 3 just recently left, basically crossing over the stone bridge, the natural stone bridge, and up the hill, not too far past where you're located.
Okay.
Okay. Still, your intent is to kind of watch and wait and kind of stay in hiding. Okay. All right. Perfect. Back to the other side of the scene. You guys track. I need one of you to make a survival check. Your choice.
Hold up.
Okay.
As soon as we get across the river, I'm going to stabilize the boat and let everybody out, and then I just let it go.
Okay, it goes down the stream. You notice that once it gets to the bridge, it's actually collected up by a grouping of fishermen down there.
Dang, I want it broken.
Yeah. But yeah, you pick one person to roll survival and one person to roll investigation, and we'll see what we can't find.
I'll investigate.
Okay. Let me know what you got, and then who's our survivor?
I got a 7.
Okay, not so good. And survival?
Joe stepped away. I don't know. Isaac?
No, Joe got
rolled
it.
a 19.
Oh, it rolled a 19? Okay, cool. 19's really good. So, despite your attempts to kind of try and figure out what's going on, try and sort out how this guy's moving, and every so often kind of just like, looking around puzzled, Astinos is able to kind of keep ground on the way he's gone. Not so much looking at where he's put his feet, but what he's kind of done around. He notices disturbances in the high grass. He notices things like, a broken branch on a small footpath. And you guys kind of make your way out of the grass area up into more of a mire-ish area. It feels like the land is kind of lowering, though, like you're coming into a lower land area. And Astinos, you would actually recognize this area. The name of the swamp region that you're kind of entering into is, I believe it's Kuroi Doro. And it's technically on the border of Seriu and Parnek. So it is not home by any stretch of the imagination. And you would know that if there's a bandit group operating, they might be doing that to avoid scrutiny from the law. That said, I'd like everybody who's in the Cool Kids company to roll ahead a stealth check.
Ooh, got that 7.
Nice.
4.
Okay. And what did Astinos get?
I didn't realize it was a cool kid.
No, yeah, you are a cool kid.
I got a fumble.
Okay. And the dwarf is kind of following along and is being pretty quiet, but every so often kind of just blathers on about himself, saying, "Yeah, oh yeah, I fought a lot of monsters. There's said to be lizard folk out in these regions, real bad."
Shut up.
Okay. Cypress, you actually see them approaching the back end of the hill that you're sitting on. They don't appear to be wearing purple hoods. You do not see Jun, who's kind of keeping himself away from the group, but you do notice a burly-looking fighter with kind of partial armor on, shield on his back, sword at his hip, axe as well. Looks like a warrior human. You see another warrior human, this one covered in the plate armor of those folk. He has some strange symbols on him. I don't know if you have religion trained or not. Probably not. Yeah. Some strange symbols. They look like crosses, but they look like arrows too. You're not sure. He has a sword and shield as well, heavily armored. And then there's a third individual who's a short, stout folk who has a mohawk, a beard, and a bunch of spike armor on. And I'll just go ahead and show you them. Hold on a second. So the first one, the burly-looking fighter type, this guy. And then the paladin-looking guy. And the... Oh, you don't see that one?
No, I see it. Sorry.
Well, no. You don't see that. I was going to click on Jun. You don't see Jun.
No, I don't see John. I see
He hiding.
Isaac and Astinos. Right.
Yep, and then you'd see a dwarf, and I'm trying to get his picture up as well, but it's not working. So we'll get that in a bit. But it should be in handouts under NPCs. Borin Doompick.
Okay.
Okay. What would you like to do? Again, they do not look like they are wearing purple hoods, and it does look like they're tracking. The one that seems to be the one leading the group, to your eyes, is the fighter, the warrior type, Joe's character, Astinos.
Have they seen me?
Doesn't appear to be the case.
Okay. I'm going to remain in the tree line, let them approach, and if they come within too great a distance, I'll call out to them.
Okay.
It appears they're not wearing the purple cloak, so it doesn't seem like they're in league.
Okay. So yeah, you guys go ahead and start to approach. It seems like you're coming to a point where the hill rises a little bit and then descends down, and across from where you can see, without getting too close to the edge there, it looks like there's kind of a stone facing there. And you do notice that the footprints kind of rush up to this point, stop, and kind of leave to the south along the ridgeline. And just to answer your question before it's asked, Zach, no, you did not see the other person that they appear to be chasing.
Right.
Yeah.
Do we see the cave itself now?
No, you haven't risen over the ridge. If you'd like to, you can. But again, you're basically at the base of one side of the hill. It goes up and then it slants down very sharply. If you want to rise up to it, you can do so. But you, being a smarter cookie than most, would know that if you go up onto a high point ridge, you're going to be visible. So, unless you do so in a proper method, you're kind of giving yourself away.
Yeah, I'm going to climb up to the top. I'm approaching my belly and tell them to hold it here, or to keep advancing along the ridge to where the footprints are going.
Okay.
Do so.
All right. It does look like they're kind of getting close to you. Apparently where they're heading isn't too far from where you are located in your kind of forested area. There's kind of an open clearing, soggier area. There's a bit of a trickle of water that heads down from there, kind of coming out of the forest grouping that you're in. And it looks like they're heading to a specific spot near kind of where that trickle begins. But it does look like they're approaching. You do see one kind of appear out of shadows almost and start kind of like crawling down low and getting low to the ground as he moves up towards the ridge. You assume that they're advancing, but it's very clear that they're advancing and not intending to. It looks like they're doing so hostilely. Not on you. They're approaching the cave hostilely. Apologies. So what would you guys like to do besides Jeremy? If anything, I'm just going to go to him.
I'm just gonna hold in the. He's scouting ahead at the top, right?
He's moving up towards the ridge, right?
Alright, I'm just gonna stop and wait till he reports back.
Well, since I saw them and I noticed their dwarf friend making a ruckus in the back, I want to approach them from my vantage point to make sure they're not going to rouse suspicion, draw attention to my hiding area.
Okay. Are you trying to do so stealthily?
Yeah, I'm going to sneak back through the trees towards them.
Roll stealth.
Towards Astinos and Isaac.
And you guys...
11.
Okay, so I presume that everybody's passive. Pretty much everybody's passive will beat that. The dwarf doesn't seem to notice, but you guys start to see a lizard creature kind of moving in the forest line. John, I believe you'd probably be the first to detect it. It looks like it's wearing kind of like... just describe your character, Zach. Better way.
My character, Cypress, he is a lizard folk. He's a gray-green colored individual. He's wearing sort of a patchwork of just cloth. He's not especially stylish or civilized in any way. You will notice along his skin it looks like vines or roots seems to be embedded within his joints and along his forearms and shins. And I approach and put a finger to my lips in an attempt to keep you all quiet.
Okay.
Lizard man? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
I ready my weapon.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as Austin gets into like a stance, I like also get into a stance beside him. It's a nasty.
I'm sitting on the ridge whispering to myself, I hope they stab that thing.
You hear like Boren kind of muttering to himself, and the second you guys start drawing weapons and brandishing them and looking in a direction, he goes, "Oh, what? Huh?" And he kind of starts grabbing his weapons from nowhere, and he starts looking around like he doesn't know what's going on. But then he stands kind of like in a phalanx with Isaac, and kind of like, "I'm ready, but I don't know what's happening here."
I put my hands up, showing I'm clearly unarmed, and I say in a low voice, trying to keep the tone down, "I'm not your enemy. I'm here tracking some individuals that have done harm to this land."
Pretty well spoken, lizard folk.
My mistake.
No worries. Most folks, I mean, most lizard folk that you've heard tales of aren't absolutely savage. Like they definitely do have a wilder quality to them, but
Right.
yeah,
I'll work on it.
no worries.
It's mostly just coke.
As soon as he puts his hands up, like and surrenders, I'll stab my sword into the ground, kind of like lower my guard, and then look to like my left hand and be like, "He's unarmed. We can't. Let's hear him out."
Okay. Boren kind of looks to you and goes, "Who?" And then he looks over again and goes, "Oh!" And John, up on your ridge point, you kind of look over your shoulder with anger because you hear Boren go, "Oh!" It doesn't seem to carry, but you heard it, and it pisses you off.
How steep is the ridge that I'm climbing?
So it's probably about a 45-degree angle. It's not like straight down or anything. It's like 45-degree angle, but it's covered with like slick grass. There are some bits of bramble. There's a lot of water that's kind of coming down. The ground that you're kind of putting yourself into, and as you move up the ridge, is very mucky. It would seem that the water coming out of the forest area is kind of coming down on both sides of this ridge here. And when you look down into the ravine, you see that at the base there's kind of like a pool of fetid looking water, some stones that kind of lead from across. It looks like there's kind of a path that goes down the hill, and you do see the cave now, and bright purple hood drawn up over a guy. Looks like there's smoke kind of puffing out of his hood.
How far am I from the cave?
120 feet.
I'll go over to my group. Do any of them see me?
They would be able to see you, yes, but it doesn't look like they're looking at you. They're kind of focusing on the tree line, the creature there.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep staring at them until one of them turns around then.
Okay. Continue your guys' exchange with the lizard folk.
I don't know what brought you to this land, but I've been following maybe a dozen individuals that I believe have done serious harm with some kind of farming that they've been doing here.
What are they growing?
Appears to be some kind of mushroom, but I've never known the type before.
It's poison. It addles the mind.
Isaac's triggered.
I'm triggered. It's illegal. Fucking.
Mm-hmm.
We believe we've been tracking a murderer thus far. Seems he may be in cahoots with these shroom growers.
If your aim is to get rid of them and rid this land of this plague, I'd be happy to assist you.
How could you assist us? You've already told us you're unarmed.
Well, that's not entirely true. See, I am a druid of these lands. I come from the swamp of Curadoro. and I am well versed in keeping this place safe.
When he says he's a druid, would I know what that means?
Religion it up.
$17.
So what you would know of druids from where you're from in Osiria, they're mostly like woodland mystics that kind of attend to like the nature of the world, focusing more on like the primal magics and the primal essence of Earth. In the Iberian and fair gods religion, druids are basically the protectors of the wood and the seasons. They're religious, but they're kind of their ways are a bit more, or rather less ordered than a church.
Well, if you have some magics that could be of assistance to us, I'm okay with letting you tag along. We'll have to convince my other associates as well.
When you kind of say that and look around, you see Jun kind of looking over at you, and you lock eyes with him for a second. Jeremy, you have his attention.
I act like I'm drawing my weapon. Like they should do the same.
Okay. Yeah, Joe, you catch on that.
Well, I like them.
But you also catch on that Jun is drawing his weapon. It looks like he's saying you should do likewise, but you already did.
If he is truly a druid of these lands, then he could help us greatly in navigating.
All the footprints we've seen thus far, we're heading in the direction of where they are currently standing, right?
Incorrect. The ones that you followed here are not. The ones that you followed here actually head further down the ridge, away from the forest, and kind of away from the cave as well. Make a investigation check on that, Joan.
23.
Real good. So basically what you actually determine while you're sitting up there and waiting for them to kind of catch your eyes is that the footprints came up to this point. You presume that they were scared by something, like they were heading towards the cave, but they saw somebody like watching them, and before they were detected, went a different route, possibly to a back entrance to the cave.
Okay. The typical path that it looks like they follow from the cave, does that lead toward the forest?
It leads up like right near the forest and then continues along the outside of it.
Okay, good enough. I draw my crossbow and just start lobbing bolts down at the cave entrance.
At that guy, okay. Go ahead and take a shot. It'll be with disadvantage. But advantage because you're sneak attacking him, so just normal roll. Okay.
8.
Yep, so a bolt goes flying off into the distance. You guys see that Jun has fired a shot. You watch as it hits the stone above his head, and he kind of ducks down, and this cloud of smoke kind of puffs out of his face. When he looks back up at you, he appears to be wearing kind of like a white mask, and he's kind of looking at you, and you see that there's this weird kind of stick with like a light at the end of it. You would know it. It's a cigarette. I mean, you're a city guy. He kind of grabs it and throws it out of his mouth and starts to move towards the cave entrance in response. It seems you've alerted the alert or...
Yep. I'm gonna stand up. He left.
Yeah, he's inside the cave now, yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna look back over to everybody else and just kind of put my hand up. I'm like, wait, hold.
Mm-hmm. When you see him kind of dip inside, you notice that there are some kind of wooden planks and logs that have been set up as kind of like defensive barricades. It looks like the fetid pool kind of has a bit of a stream that goes into the cave itself. And when he goes in, he steps into the water to kind of circle around and in. Okay. You guys see him fire off a bolt, Astinos, Isaac, and Cypress. You guys see that happen. What would you like to do?
I'll hold. This was
Yeah, you said to wait, so letting him take point.
Okay.
I'm gonna wait till the guy comes back out if he does.
Okay. Make a perception check.
10.
Doesn't seem like he's coming back out. And what did you get on your stealth check from before?
24.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't seem like you can see him. It doesn't look like anybody's coming out.
I'm going to stand up on the top of the ridge and start walking toward the party, about halfway to them.
Okay.
Still nothing.
No, nothing.
All right, then I'll just move to the party and tell them there's got to be a back way in. They're probably about to seal this door. We should advance on it.
Alright, so we're gonna circle around and look for a back entrance.
I think we should just take the front door first. Before they circle around and get behind us. Because once we're at the cave entrance, we have the ravine behind us, so it's all open. They're going to be a lot harder to hide from us there.
Okay.
Onward then!
All right. You guys come up over the ridge, and you can definitely not see that anybody's present. Doesn't look like anyone's, kind of at the door anymore. It looks like that if you're going to approach, you can descend down and cross over the stones, and you'll be on the left side of the cave entrance. Or you can try and swim across the fetid pool to get on the right side of the cave entrance. Let me see if I can give you... Hold on a second here. Okay. Let's see how this messes up. Hold on. I selected global illumination. Why? You guys are seeing all black or no?
Yeah, it's all black. Except for my piece.
How about now?
Alright, there we go.
You can't see inside of the cave, really, right?
Right.
Okay. But you see where you're coming
Right.
from. So you can either be on the south side of the cave or the north side of the cave. Your choice. Just tell me what you're
You
going to
said-
do beforehand.
You said there was a pool of water in front of the cave. We could swim across to the other side.
Yeah, so there's two basically landing points. So you're on the far left side of the map there. You're either going to land
Right.
on the north side or the south side. The pool is kind of in between. It's off screen. It's on the left side there.
Okay. Okay. Can I tell from where I'm standing how deep the pool is?
It looks like it starts at about a 5-foot depth and kind of goes down to about a 30-foot depth. It doesn't look like... It looks like the ravine kind of just descends down into the pool. So it's deeper, closer to the stone than it is on your side.
Okay.
I'm going to stay on the dry side.
Okay, crossing over the stones. Perfect.
I'm going to sneak to the edge of the pool and swim across.
On the opposite side?
Yes.
Okay. And the other two, the fighters are probably leading the front with John, right? Crossing over the stones.
Yep.
Okay.
Do we have to go in the water to get inside, or these doors back the other way?
You can cross over the stone. There's stones over the waterway, so you can either swim across or cross over the bridge. That part's not visualized here.
Oh, but we can just we don't have to get in the water to get inside.
You would have to step into the water, but it looks like the waterway there is only like a foot or two deep. It's not like deep.
Oh, okay.
I'll go to the south side.
You'd have to swim to do it. You doing it?
Yeah, I'm a swimmy boy.
Okay. The lizard folk, you actually have a swim speed, do you not?
Correct. 30.
So, Asanos, you need to make an athletics check to swim across. Nice. He seems a natural for it, Cypress. It looks like this big, burly fighter guy just jumps in the water and swims alongside with you, Olympic style,
Outstanding.
and makes it across. All right. So you would see that there's basically logs and planks that have been kind of set up in walls that are kind of buttressing the sides of this cave entrance. To enter in, you'll have to step down into the water and move through. And just a note for combat's sake, any motion inside of a water passage, unless you are... No, even if you have a swim speed, because of the depth of it, you can't really swim it, but it is going to inhibit movement, so just count it as difficult terrain.
Okay.
Does any of this makeshift here look weak at any point?
It actually looks rather well constructed. Make a history check. Yeah, it looks actually very familiar to you. So the Sayryujin wavemen would find natural caves and such like this, and basically build themselves into the framework. They would try to do this where there was water, especially, and they'd basically call it a Kappa's keep.
A rat's nest, then.
Or a rat's nest.
An old Saryujan hideout. We should. There's likely to be all sorts of tricks in there. I can't fight from the one combat.
I'm gonna get to the door and start checking it, make sure it's safe down there.
Okay, as I said, you're gonna have to walk around and enter through. There's no real door; it's just a passageway in.
Right.
Yeah.
I do it.
The second you step into like sight, go ahead and put your token in between the two doorways. You see a flash of a lot of things kind of coming out at you. It looks like the interior chamber is pretty well lit, and it looks like about 3 individuals are firing crossbows at you.
I duck.
Okay. Now, had you said I was dodging beforehand, I would totally give you some sort of bonus, but you do have cover because...
I said I was checking to see if it was safe.
Fair enough. My stuff is loading.
Just make my head twice as big and we'll walk right through this front door real quick.
Sniper's dream, they say. All right. What's your armor class, real quick?
15? Is the cloak on there?
Should be.
It says 15.
Okay. You're wearing leather armor?
Armor AC 15, yeah. I don't think the cloak's added.
Okay. So, cloak of protection +1. +1 for the AC from leather armor. And then your dex modifier is a 4? Yeah, so you should have a 16. That's weird. Yeah, that's weird. It should be 16. So then, yeah, it'll miss on that one. It'll hit on that one, and it'll miss on the last one. You're going to take 7 points of damage as a small crossbow bolt hits you in the shoulder. You kind of left it out just a little bit too long after the first one missed, and the second one kind of beat it in and caught you.
Should we have been at full to start this session, or are we still down?
You should have had a long rest, yeah.
Okay, make sure.
And then you hear a female voice yell out from outside. "We've got no quarrel with you, and you're on the wrong side of the border to be trying to enforce any laws."
I'll call back. Ow! I'm not here to enforce a law. I'm here on behalf of the Mardigans. They want to strike up a truce.
"Shoot him again," you hear. You hear a bunch more darts hit the wall as you kind of back away behind it. "We've got dozens of quarrels. Hundreds even. Might as well just walk away."
How's the wind right now?
The wind? It doesn't really get down into the ravine too much. So it's pretty still.
They want to strike up a trade deal.
You're talking to the wrong people.
Who should I talk to?
Well, if you try to come in here, you'll be talking to a couple of hand crossbows. If you want to go back
I
to
don't
the...
want to talk to them.
Well, then go talk to somebody in the city. Just get the hell out of here.
Jen, do you think you could find the back entrance?
I'll give like a little thumbs up or something.
Okay. I'm gonna light a torch. And I'm gonna start burning this with the barricade.
Okay. Make me just a wisdom check. And let me know how it goes.
Not bad. I got a 7.
Okay. So you start to kind of burn it. It seems to be taking a bit of time. You're not really lighting it in, you're not an arsonist rather. So you're kind of lighting it and like setting the torch in there to hold it in there. And it looks like it's starting to go up, but it doesn't look like it's I'm assuming in your mind you were expecting it to whoosh and then fill up with smoke. It's not doing that by any stretch. But it seems like over time it will do what you intend. It'll just take a little while.
Well, let's set up some siege lines. We'll get them.
Burn it. Smoke them out. I've done this before.
I'll bet you have.
An old ranger trick.
Okay. You hear them kind of, not really making any screams like, oh, we're imperiled. But then as you're kind of setting your stuff up, you hear footsteps kind of coming close to the wall on the other side of it. What do you do?
Are they on the south side or the north side of the water?
They're basically right on the opposite side from where Asinos stepped. And if you look in, you would be able to see where the footsteps are. You're certain.
You put Joe on the wall where he's trying to light it on fire.
Yeah, sure. I'm assuming he was right about here. Yeah, right there. So it's basically like right on the opposite side of the wall from him.
Yeah.
Do you peer in to look at what's happening?
Quickly, yes.
Okay. The second your head pops out, you hear the twang, twang, twang crossbow bolts. You also see that there's a crow-faced person kind of walking up to the wall with a pail in hand. The crossbow bolts are going to strike. You have full cover because you're only just popping out your head. But that one will hit for 11 points of damage as it kind of catches you on the skull and kind of pans you in the head, leaving a nice Harry Potter-esque scratch on your forehead. The next thing that you see is that a bunch of water kind of splashes through like the logs and panels and kind of hits the wood, and it extinguishes the torch very quickly. Then you hear footfall rushing away from the wall.
I crawl back behind Isaac.
Bleeding.
Is there a plan B?
Burn the whole thing down. I don't. Also, heal me.
Burn a cave.
You hear
And it's just
you hear the female voice on the other side. She says, "If you want to talk to somebody, you're just going to be talking to crossbows here. You can leave."
You guys are dicks.
Yeah.
Given the shape of the layout of the land here, would I be able to determine any way where the other entrance of this cave might be? Is this not a natural cave?
It appears to be a natural cave, but it appears that like certain additions have been made. Based on the way the water's moving, you assume that it's not pooling inside of that cave. It must be continuing on to somewhere else. Because the water wouldn't be continuing to flow. It would basically have filled up this natural cave by now and the ravine behind you. And it appears that the water's still kind of... It's moving in. That said, you assume that it's further down the ravine or possibly more inland from the caves or the cliff surface.
Okay.
You hear her say something very quickly. John, go ahead and make a perception check. Everybody else, you would hear the word even if it just doesn't make sense to you.
Got it.
That's all you got? Okay. You're not sure what she said, but it sounded like she said a can't word. Your presumption is that she's planning something. You're not sure what.
Alright, screw this. Let's just go. I start walking away.
Okay. The fighter types do have shields. Your call.
I was letting the smart guy take point, but his tactics seem to have failed. Yeah, I'll look at Astanos and I'll kind of bang my shield with my sword and kind of like nod at him, like, you down?
Say no more, fam.
Baron Doompick, he's kind of looking at you guys like, I'm not even on the map, and he kind of like walks over to you and he's like, me too, yeah.
I wave from across the pool,
Let's go, man.
You went across.
grabbing my shield off my back. I've got one too.
Let's do it. I cast Shield of Faith on myself
Okay.
before we get into this.
God damn it, there's a back door somewhere, Isaac.
Come on in. Or first.
Who do you say go first?
I could first. If
The dwarf can go first.
The dwarf totally looks like he's ready to go in.
Show him what's up, man. Rock him.
Hold on. Let me go in. I'll take the first wave of quarrels, and then you guys try to close some
dwarf's got a
distance.
way cooler shield than you do. He can do it better than you.
Hey man, my shield swirls around me and it's all glowing and shit. I think. I don't know what holy shield
That
looks
dwarf
like.
knows what's up.
Shield-
He knows how to fight.
Shield of Faith basically like it does create kind of like an aura on you, but then it goes silent and mute. When attacks hit you and don't hit you, they'll be blocked by that aura. But yeah, if you're gonna go in first, just go ahead and move to the position and I'll take some shots at you.
Alright, I got 30 feet of movement, so I'll take my first 5
The water will be difficult terrain.
here. You want to take your
Oh yeah,
shots?
I'm gonna take my shots. You got a 20 AC, right?
Yeah, 20.
Okay. As you kind of step into the opening there, these crossbow bolts are fired at you. The first one kind of gets deflected by this radiance, sunburst kind of appearing near you, but not blinding. The next one, you kind of raise your shield up and catch it, and as you kind of pull it away to kind of see if anything else is coming, a small dart kind of hits you on the chin. Take 2 points of piercing damage, and make a Constitution saving throw.
Whoa. Oh shit. Poison.
Was the
Oh,
word she
shit.
said in Thieves' Cant. You
Seven.
have the poisoned condition.
Wait, I'm level 3. It's only diseases that I'm because of holy body,
I think
or
it's,
is it poisons and
I
disease?
think it's just diseases, but hold on. Hold on.
Oh, just diseases.
Yeah. That's what I figured, but I was going to double check for you. Okay, cool. So, yeah, the poison condition, basically all it is just disadvantage on pretty much everything.
Cool.
Yeah, it seems like it'll last a little bit. You can remove it with lay on hands, though. Basically,
Yeah, I think I also have like cure poison or some. I think it's a I have a paladin spell for getting rid of poison.
disadvantage on attack rolls and ability checks. Yep.
That's fine. I'm just trying to get in here.
Okay.
I'll run up to this guy.
All right, getting on the land and moving over. Okay. And then just a quick note, a flash of recollection. You remember that when you were storming the dragon's dungeon, how advantageous it was to keep your shield up, i.e. take the dodge action when entering and breaching? So just a reminder there.
Yeah, but that's because I use Shield of Faith. I thought that was my action.
Oh, bonus action for the Shield of Faith.
Oh, so I still have an action?
You could dash to get that extra 5 feet, yeah.
Or I could just heal myself, or get this poison off me, but I'm assuming all their bolts are poisoned.
It looks like they specially applied the poison. Yeah.
To that one bolt, or they just like dip it before they shoot?
You're not sure how the application method went, but you know that Jun got hit in the head, and it didn't look like he got poisoned.
Alright.
Ow!
I'll use my action then. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'll just take the dodge action then.
Austinos, you move in as well. Are you taking the dodge action?
No,
Okay.
I'm gonna pull out a javelin and throw it.
Target.
Can you hear me, John?
Yeah. What's your target?
It'll be the first thing I see, which I guess
That guy there?
probably
Okay.
this guy.
That goofy looking guy. Alright. You hurl your
14.
hurl your javelin in at him. It hits him square in the chest, and he kind of backs up a bit, with the javelin kind of like ah, and just blood running down his purple cloak, and he kind of like ah. It drops his hand crossbow, and looks like he's really not happy. He's still standing though. All right, and then Baron kind of moves in. And kind of gets on the other side of the area. Looks like he's got his little buckler up, and he's kind of eyeing the guy across the bridge from where you guys are located. At this point, Jun, I assume just clutching the head. Cypress, you said you had a shield, and we're going to move in as well. You can go ahead and do that. And then I'll go ahead and get the initiative tracker out.
Yeah, I'll just keep leaving over here.
Smart. It seems
Well-
like this is how fights usually go. I take the first, but shit! You guys should finish it up. Bye!
Rignar was not here with us, right? Just Baron.
Correct.
Okay. I think I was just a 5-foot square behind
Yeah, so you can put yourself behind
fast enough
Asinus.
so I can get right up there.
I'd even let you to move. You could
And
stand
I'm-
next to him too if you'd like.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm gonna step up here, and I will use Thorn Whip on that in.
The guy who's got a javelin in him.
Yes,
All right, throw the attack.
15.
That'll hit and damage.
6.
Okay, so the javelin kind of hits in his chest, and he's kind of looking at it. The lizard folk kind of comes up behind you. A bramble kind of fires from his hand and kind of snaps into the thing's chest. It looks like a good weight of the thorn whip kind of hits against the javelin and pushes it further in. And he just crumples. He just lays on the ground dead. The guy you guys.
Oh,
Do you pull?
He
Do
ripped-
you still want to
He
pull
pulls
his?
that corpse back 10
Do you
feet.
still want to?
yeah. I was gonna pull him 10 feet. I was gonna pull him right next to Isaac.
Yeah, you pull him. You kind of just drag him on the ground. The javelin kind of snapping underneath as you pull his body
shucks.
in towards you. All right, at this point, we'll go ahead and do the initiative chain. So what you need to do:
Yes!
select your token, hit initiative.
Will Wilbur?
Oh, it's still like that.
You just select your token, and then hit initiative. Yep.
No, I did. My name is still listed as Lil Wilbur
Oh,
for the turn order.
Smooth.
Why are you a little over?
He set it up. I don't know.
You know why he's a little older. Or is he older than you? I don't think he's older than you, is he?
He's
I'm
younger,
younger.
but he's bigger.
I'm bigger.
Yeah, so he's Lil Wilbur.
Cute little fella.
Nobody said that.
I was talking about you, but damn it.
Well, John probably said that.
I think I got everybody. Sure did. All right. So the two on the north side kind of move in closer to one another and raise their crossbow bolts. It doesn't look like these new bolts are coated with anything, and they shoot them in at Borin. Oh, fuck. All right. So you see Borin kind of take one to the chest, He's like, ha ha, and then the next one hits him right in the eye. He's like, ah, ah, and he falls to the ground, just bleeding out of his face.
Oh no.
That was quick.
Ooh, lad.
Didn't you just find him?
Oh, he found us.
Okay, that's a short volunteer.
The behind the one that you just murdered, you see the crow-headed one that had the pail kind of rush across the bridge, over next to his friends on the other side, dropping the pail. As he does so, he pulls a crossbow, and he's gonna shoot at the lizard. I think, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see. Your armor class?
18.
Nice. This fucking tank party.
Isn't that right, Jay?
Yeah, we are.
That's gonna miss. His crossbow bolt hits your shield. You kind of push it away. You notice that he is. It's not a crossbow actually. This one actually has a bow. Sorry, it's a short bow.
This was the crow-faced individual?
Yeah, Crowface has a short bow.
Okay.
And then, last but not least, the captain seems to be wielding, draw two strange weapons. One appears to have like a stiletto blade with like sword guards. Astinos would recognize this weapon as a sai, used by the Saryujan. And it appears to have a strange centerpiece that appears to be like excreting greenish liquid onto the center blade. The other weapon she has appears to have kind of like a wide shivish blade. It looks like it's just a weird shiv. It too has this strange coating as well. And she kind of looks to you guys menacingly, waiting for movement. It looks like she's not stalling. She's not doing nothing. It looks like she's waiting, readying her action. Isaac.
Cool. That's faces. Is channeling divinities in action?
Depends on what it says.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Whatever. Let's do a drunken sword swing since I've got goo in my veins.
The poison.
26 and 15.
So 15. And who's your target? Center, left, or right?
Let's go with this crow abomination. He's not a human.
Okay. You strike him true, despite your weakened limbs. When you cut into him, it looks like you just fell him, and he kind of falls to the ground with like a fluff of crow feathers. But then when you kind of wind the blade back around and kind of look at it and put your shield up, you see that he's kind of like getting back up and holding his shoulder, bleeding profusely, almost as if he was standing on his very last. You chatted him, is what happened. All right, Judd. Sounds like they're having all the fun in there.
Yeah. I'm gonna dash as a bonus action.
Okay.
I think I can make it behind these rocks. If I could get. And help Isaac.
Okay. All right, that's a bonus action.
Should just be an action, right?
You can do it as a bonus action with Mastermind. If you can do it either way, actually, because cutting action lets you dash too. So yeah, you're good.
Oh, either one, yeah. One's
Yeah.
the action, one's the bonus.
You could do it either way, but it works out perfect. So yeah, you have advantage on your next attack roll, Isaac.
So I'm neutral.
Neutral.
I'm barfy, but he's helping me.
He's helping you, Ostinos.
This way, Ostinos, this way.
Actually, interruption. Before you move, Joe. Sorry. The Fellhood captain lady, the one who was talking, she quickly kind of darts around the side of the waterway and then does like a cartwheel flip over the water and lands on the bridge behind Isaac and will attack.
She doesn't realize I have a swirling shield.
You would note that she ran very Naruto-esque and then like stopped and did the cartwheel, lands, and then kind of cuts out with both blades. 23 and 17. So the 23 will hit. I need you to make another Constitution saving throw.
Nineteen, 23.
23, you said?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do I have disadvantage? No, it's just ability check. So yeah.
That's saving throws.
Well, 19.
Okay. So then you'll take 8 slashing damage, and you'll take 3 poison damage. The poison damage seems to have been reduced. The poison.
What happens when you have a thick body?
The poison concoction that she seems to be kind of flirting or flailing with doesn't appear to be the same that the bandits were using. It seems to be 2 different types of poison that are entering your body. You're resisting one, but you're just hating the other. Austinos, here go. Apologies for the interruption.
Grapple.
Okay. Go ahead and make an athletics. I'll make acrobatics to try and get out of that.
I got a 14.
Alright, I got a 17 on my athletics. So you kind of grab onto her, and she kind of quickly weasels. You feel the cloak kind of slip out of your hands as you kind of close, and she kind of snaps back up and now has one blade kind of gestured between you and her, and then the other one kind of gestured between her and Isaac.
Alright.
You see Borin kind of... and his eye kind of falls out with the crossbow bolt. It kind of looks like he's spasming with one hand and his foot is switching. Zach, welcome to the fun times. It's your up.
I thought he was dead.
Oh, it looks like he's in the throes of it. If you want to waste
Okay.
some healing on him, you can
Just-
probably get him back
Just
up.
let me
Wait.
finish.
Right. I'm gonna go ahead and use another thorn whip on the
Her.
woman.
Yep.
Ooh, yeah. So,
Rolling a 17 to hit
That'll work. So she's,
and 5 damage.
and she's pulled 10 feet closer to you. Okay.
Pulled 10 feet the water, I guess.
Yep, go ahead and do me a favor and make me, just for dramatic effect, roll a 100-sided dice.
$41.
Okay, so that's lower than 50. So when she gets grabbed and pulled off of the bridge, she looks cocky when she's, like in between the two fighters, and then this whip just whoops, grabs her and pulls her, and she kind of falls back into the water on her back. She's now kind of under the water, face barely above it, prone.
And as a bonus action, I'm going to go ahead and cast Healing Word on June.
Okay?
do we get attacks of opportunity because she's out of our squares?
No. She's force moved, not taking actual movement herself.
And June regains 5 hit points.
Alright. The 3 Fellhoods who are engaged with Isaac are basically just kind of dropping their hand crossbows and pulling out bladed weapons. The Kenku pulls out a short sword, and the 2 bandits also pull out short swords, I think, or daggers, I don't know. Let me just do the Kenku first. It's a whiff. And miss and a miss. So basically phalanxing with your own shield of protection, you're basically holding the block against the Kenku and kind of interchanging in between it and the one directly in front of you, while the shield of protection seems to block against the one on your right. You seem to be defending well. The thug who hit the middle, she spins one foot up over the other foot, and like a flail of water kind of just spirals around on top of her. She kind of lifts herself off of the water and lands feet first with like an angry looking growl on her face, steps 1 foot forward up onto the ridge here next to the lizard folk, and she yells something in a language you've never heard, but Astinos has. It seems to be the Saryujan tongue, but she's going to go ahead and cut on this mofo. How dare you embarrass me?
Mofo being me?
Yeah, how dare you embarrass me?
Cool.
She will not be making these attacks at advantage because she doesn't have an ally near you. You said you had a 18 AC, so hit and miss. Constitution saving throw from you, please. Perfect.
18.
So you'll be taking 8 points of piercing damage and 3 points of poison damage. And basically, she swings wide with the slashing-looking blade. When she comes in with the side, though, she kind of punctures just into your side, and a bit of an ejection of that poison kind of enters your veins. You manage to fight most of its effect, but it still does suck. All right, Steve. What's
All right. Pretty good attack against the middle guy.
Okay. You have advantage / disadvantage, so just regular. That'll
25, and I'll smite him.
Okay. Don't worry about rolling it. You were about to chat him, but you basically throw the blade down, and then you kind of like whisper a small prayer. You feel like Endivin's guidance enter into the blade.
Oh, I wasn't whispering the prayer.
Oh,
fucking.
You yelled the prayer out. Ah, Tavius! Bam! Hit him, and like a burst of radiant energy sends him sprawling back into the wall behind him. Just thud. All right.
And just for as a free action, I'll just look at the other two and go. Well, I'm focusing on the king who's like bleeding out. Just be like, surrender, or suffer his fate.
As a free action in response, he just kind of drops his short sword and starts raising his claws. And he says, in your,
Bark.
in your exact voice, he says, surrender. John.
Lays an egg.
He does lay an egg, yeah.
I'm gonna step out and stab this thing with a diggler,
Diggling this bitch.
Giggler.
which I also think isn't set right. But, hiya, 12 to hit.
You come out behind her, expecting to, like, haha, she doesn't see me. She quickly turns around with the side that has the lizard's blood on her, or on it, and kind of like just parries the diggler aside.
Thanks.
I give Astinos help.
Okay. Speaking of Astinos, it's his up.
Dude. Does it give me advantage?
Advantage on your next attack, yeah.
I'll just come over here by Isaac and attack Birdman's.
Okay.
Yeah.
The guy who surrendered, who dropped his weapon.
Yeah, murder him. Shut up, John.
Oh, did he drop his weapon?
Yeah, and he said surrender.
I thought he was making fun of.
Oh.
Could have been interpreted.
Hey man, do what you gotta do.
To just be cute.
All right.
He's making chicken arms at you.
All right, other guy.
Go for
Get yourself. Oh, I got an 8 or an 8.
it. Swing, and it just goes right over his head. He not hit. Boren is.
All the
Go ahead.
all the things I'm doing are really good in this session. They're really successful.
You hear more death spasming sounds coming from Boren right behind you, Cypress. It sounds like he's really having a hard time of that dying thing, but it doesn't sound like it's not going to be lasting too much longer. I.e., he just failed his. He just failed his second death saving throw. Is what that is. And it's your up.
Isaac, I don't think Merritt's gonna make it.
I'm going to go ahead and use my healer's kit and stabilize. What was his name? Boren?
Yeah, you pull the crossbow bolt out of his eye all the way, and you start kind of like shoving
I'm
gauze
helping.
in there and patching him up. It does look like this, because you're performing this action just for flavor. You're kind of opening yourself up to attack from her. She's not going to get an opportunity attack, but if she does try to engage you, it'll be at advantage.
Okay, I do have a bonus action
Yeah.
of disappearing again. Hungry Jaws.
Okay. So as you kind of fix it up and it looks like she's about to take advantage, you kind of snap over your shoulder at her and bite her. It catches her like off guard, and she's like, "Ah!" as you tear a bit of like meat off of her leg.
Cool.
All right.
And that gives me 2 bonus HP.
Yep.
Sweet.
Yeah, he ate her.
It was tasty.
And then it would go to them. All right. Well, she was gonna beat the crap out of John, but that definitely does not. No.
Uh-oh.
Well, get aided.
The guy you swung at, Ostanos, he's gonna go ahead and swing back at you. It doesn't look like he's surrendering because it doesn't look like you're giving him opportunity to do so.
He's not a chicken.
He tries and swings at you. You aren't having any of it. You parry his weapon with yours. The captain is gonna just batter on Cypress. Let's see. All right, so same situation as before, missing a hit. Give me another con saving throw. Zach.
Oh, con save. Sorry.
Yep.
8.
Yep. So you'll take the full. It's going to be 7 points of piercing damage and 5 points of poison damage. As she stabs the sai into you, you kind of look at her as she's doing it and look at the sai as it kind of buries into your shoulder, and you see that the small vial in the center of it appears to be empty. It's ejected all of the poison that it has in it. The same seems to be the case for the other weapon as well. And Steve.
This guy didn't surrender.
He didn't, because he's getting attacked by the fighter type. If you make an insight check, you'll see that the only reason he's still got his weapon up is he's defending himself.
Oh. Alright, I'll say, drop your weapon, and I'll call him off. Looking at the frothing berserk.
He immediately just throws his short sword over his shoulder like, okay.
It sticks in that leather.
Can my action be to, like, bind his hands with rope?
The Kenku? Yeah.
No, this guy who can probably speak normally
Yeah.
and not like a parrot.
Yeah, perfect.
Alright, I do that.
You grab his hands really quick and kind of just quickly bind them with a rope.
Yeah.
Okay. John?
The Diggler is a dagger, right?
It is just a dagger, yeah.
Okay.
It allows you to...
Stats are wrong on it.
All it does is it's magic, and it also allows you to cast that spell, Vicious Mockery.
Yeah. I'm gonna stab her with it.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
Yeah, 20.
And sneak attack.
Yeah, 7 more.
She gives you like just an
11 total.
annoyed look. Just
Bonus action. Disengage.
okay.
Holy shit.
Ostanos.
Yeah, you really got the hell out.
Looks like these two are handled. Cop mode Isaac has started to process them. Judge Isaac. It does look like they're still having.
They're going to jail.
It does still look like they're having a fun time with the captain, though.
This guy with the purple cloak still fighting them.
No, he gave up. He threw his sword away and is now being bound. The Kenku has surrendered as well and is waiting its turn to be bound. The girl is the only one fighting, then she's currently stabbing down at the lizard folk.
I'll just jump into the water and attack as I fall.
Okay. Go ahead and make your attack.
Nope.
Roll me a 20-sided dice. 20 sided 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 dice. 20 sided
Got 5.
So you kind of jump up out at her and kind of swing your blade down at her. You kind of time it right, but your foot kind of like catches the edge of the ledge you're jumping from, and you kind of fall a bit faster than you were anticipating. Your sword hits the stone right at her feet and snaps clean in two as you fall into the water, and your sword handle is the only thing you have left of your blade. She looks down at you as you're falling, and you see her just grinning and
Beat her to death at the hilt.
As you're laying down there, you look up and you see Boren kind of rise up like a bit, and he goes, "Ah!" and then lays back down. He's stabilized. He's still in death throes. He's not dying, but he does appear to just be dramatically flailing about. As you,
I like him.
you kind of get
A lot
off.
of NPCs just died. I didn't know they had death saving throws.
He
He's
stabilized.
my friend.
You step off of him. You kind of, are backing away from the strange woman a bit as you kind of ready yourself for fighting. What do you do?
I'm stepping right back in. I give her another bite.
All right.
11.
You can't.
Snap in. She kind
I'm
of
sorry?
dodges.
The bite's a special attack.
No.
You got a short rest before you can use it again.
No. That's for this hungry jaws.
Not for a lizard, man.
Natural attack.
Oh, Hungry Jaws, yeah.
Yeah.
Hungry
I
Jaws,
see.
that was special.
And he has a natural attack bite, which basically replaces his unarmed strike.
Right.
Yep.
He's just using his mouth.
Yep. And then
God.
as a bonus action, he can use his unarmed strike again because of his circle, if he wants
Yes.
to.
And it can still be bite?
Yeah. You see him.
Wow. How is it the exact same thing?
And miss.
Real original.
That's incredible.
Pac-Man
All right,
style.
snapping jaws.
All right. Do me a favor and make me your choice athletics or acrobatics check, Lizard Man.
Let's go athletics. 13.
So, Astanos, down on the ground, kind of watching. You see a very familiar-looking martial arts move come from her. She sweeps the leg. She basically drops down, spins around, and catches with like a back angled roundhouse at the lizard folk's legs, throwing the lizard folk onto its back. As that happens, she kind of just rolls over you and just starts running out the door. You can take an opportunity attack, but you have disadvantage because you're prone.
Can I cast a spell as an opportunity attack?
Not at all.
No?
No.
Alright, I'm just gonna try to... Disadvantage?
Mm-hmm. All right. So you kind of snap at her, like as you lay on the ground wildly. Looks like she kind of placed her hand down on the side of your head as you hit the ground and kind of used your face to roll off. So the bite kind of just wildly moves aside, like, just miss. And she seems to run with great haste out the door and out towards the path, from what you can tell. Steve, you got him detained. It was a pretty quick tie, so it's nothing like special. You didn't like, unless you want to take this turn to make it more secure.
No, I see her bolt. I want to try to get her before she's out of sight.
Okay. Taking the dash action.
I can get to here.
That's 40.
How high are these? That's 30. That's 35.
That's 40.
Oh, I get 40. Oh, I get 40. All right.
Well, that movement was 40, but you do have 40 movement because of the stone.
Yeah. Are these doors too high, or can I see her?
Well, you can't see her now, unless you specifically look through them, and that'd be stopping.
Because I want to cast a spell on her, and I think as long as I have like sight of her, I should be okay to cast it. Like even if there's a crack.
Yeah, it's not wide enough for you to see with just looking. You'd have to take an action to kind of peer through it.
Damn. Because I want to use command on her, but if you say I can't see her, then
Yeah, if you want to dash after her, you can. You'd have to go around and outside.
She fast.
She is fast.
I'll try to catch her. I'll dash.
Okay.
So
just that's into cinematic land, and we'll go ahead and say that the rest is in cinematic land too. But you'll get out there, and as you kind of move towards it, the waterway was about 30 feet, across. The bridge was about 30 feet across, and the hill was kind of like another 90 feet up to the top. She's about halfway up the hill already.
Let me see how much range I actually need for this.
Sure.
Yeah, let's finish the round because I can move 90 feet and take a shot and miss.
Remember,
I
disadvantage.
need to get. Can she get more than 60 feet from me
Oh, she is.
if I'm like chasing her?
She seems to have just moved 120, like in a turn.
Fuck.
Because she's running.
Yeah, then
she's
I
running.
guess
Well,
she's-
she's running up the hill, so disadvantage. I'd say she's probably about. She's
60.
She's probably about 60 feet away from you
Okay.
exactly. Yeah. Next turn she'll move. You can move 30. She'll probably be able to make it to the top of the hill. She'll be out of your range. Let's.
So just let me know if I can get her with a 60-foot command, yes or no.
Okay, I'm going to say no on that. John, go ahead and take your action. You're going to dash cunning action out the door and try and shoot her as well.
Yeah, I should be able to get 4 squares past the door, and then I'll just light crossbow shot
Okay.
up the hill at her.
You're going to be within your first range increment, so it'll just be a regular shot. Okay. That
13.
that'll hit.
Yeah, 9 damage. Shot her in the ass.
Roll a 20-sided dice for me.
28.
Okay. She when she gets hit, you hit her like right in the shoulder. She kind of like was looking over her shoulder, then turned back away when you got out and let the shot off. It hits her in the shoulder, and it kind of forces her down to the ground. When she kind of catches the ground, you see her slip. She rolls. She hits the bolt again. You hear it snap. You also hear another snapping sound. It's like click, like from the wood breaking, and then it's like a crack from something else. And she kind of rolls back down and just hits the water.
Ew.
It's a good shot.
And
One in like 50.
Isaac, you're not sure she's
He totally misjudged that.
you're not sure she's dead, because she does seem to still be moving when she hits the water.
She's definitely within range of command now, though, right?
For sure. Asanos,
Brought her back.
Boren looks fine. The Kenku, as you guys were kind of messing around, you notice that he's kind of circled away from everybody once Jun kind of got away, and is kind of moving deeper into the cave. But it totally looks like he's doing one of those,
No, he's not.
okay. I'm just gonna, nope. Situation. It looks like he's just trying to get away from this fuckery.
Here I am.
You walk over to him, jump across the way, and stand in front of him. He goes, "Ah,
I'm gonna pick him up.
He's not very heavy. He's got hollow bones.
Put him back over here.
All right. And then Boren kind of goes, "Ooh!"
Back!
And then you hear him say, "I think I'll be okay." And then he just passes out.
Holy shit. Warren?
Okay, so just closing it out. You have the leader, the thug lady, and you have the Kenku and one of the human fellhoods, and then you have full access to this chamber. We started about 5:30. We'll go a little longer just to close it out, but we'll wind it down here. So that said, I'm just gonna go from left to right and get your kind of last actions here. Steve, she's down in the water just across the way. You'd cross the bridge and be able to pull her up out of the water if you wanted.
Yeah, of course. I'll grab her, tie up her hands, disarm her, do the usual, you're under arrest, stop right there.
Okay. She seems to have lost her weaponry. They appear to have kind of fallen into the water. But you kind of pull her up out of the water and start basically reading her rights. Okay. Jun, you're not too far behind. What would you like to do?
I'll just walk up there and be bad cop.
Okay.
Just hang out with him.
Do you want to punch her or something?
Aw, you want to be bad cop? I want to be bad cop.
No, you're the good cop, obviously. I'm flashing the dagger they gave me. Like, yeah, I'm police.
Okay.
I'll throw some like check at her, like little punches, and stop short of her face. Oh yeah, got you.
Okay. And then Joe, you have the Kenku and are kind of leading it back over to the other guy. The other guy's just sitting there with his hands kind of just, bound. He looks like he's kind of determined to stay alive, and so he's not doing anything dumb. Yeah. Anything you want to do?
Nah. I am kind of curious as to what's further down in the cave. I could kind of go peek around the corner.
Yeah.
And keeping an eye out.
You're able to detain
Just listen.
the Kenku further, and what you're going to end up seeing down there is there's a series of like bedrolls. Make a perception check. Let me know what you got.
And 11.
Okay. There's a series of bedrolls, and you kind of see that there's a larger bed in this back chamber. A couple of crates. Looks like there's a decent amount of food present here. It does look like there's a bag of seeds, or not really seeds, more like this weird white kind of
Bird
food.
food.
It looks like it might be kind of like some sort of fungus. You're not sure, but it's not grown. It looks like it's like a fungus starter, basically. What's that stuff called? The mesh that fungus grow underneath them. You know what I'm talking about, right? Am I crazy?
No, but I got you.
Yeah, and then it looks like there's a pool of water at the bottom there, at the south side of the chamber. It does look like there's a number of points where the water continues through the stone, and it looks like there are rungs kind of set inside those waterways that look like they might be used for like underwater kind of pulling. Like if somebody were to jump into the water and use those rungs, they might be able to climb further down in the waterway.
Yeah, I got you.
Basically metal staples that have been put in place as a ladder. Not really a ladder, but yeah.
Right. It's trying to gap.
Yeah. And then, last but not least, Cypress, the new guy. Anything staying over Borin? Are you moving to something else?
I'm gonna look over my shoulder across to where Astanos was, make sure he's got the two well under his care, and then you said the woman dropped her weapons into the
water.
pool?
Yeah.
If I can, I'm gonna head out and dive to the bottom.
Sure.
And see if I can retrieve those.
Okay. Yeah, they're pretty shiny, so you managed to grab them. Basically, they operate as short swords for all intents and purposes, but they're titled shivs, and one does slashing, one does piercing, and both have empty vial spaces that allow for easy application of poison to the weapons.
I'll retrieve those and keep them handy.
Okay. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a picture of what she looks like, since the token's kind of small. But that's what she looked like. All right. And
It's that ninja.
any other questions?
Is Borin gonna make it?
You've got him pretty well bandaged. You're pretty sure with like some actual like healing spells he might be able to get back up, but he's definitely not going to be able to see as well as he used to. That eye's gone.
When you were like patting her down, did she have any antidotes on her maybe for the poison?
No.
Darn. I'm actually gonna have to heal myself.
Actually, after about a minute or so. Actually, are you going to use your lay on hands to heal yourself?
Nah.
Okay,
I never heal
so after
myself.
about a minute or so, kind of drop my hand there on that one, the poison actually subsides. If you do detain them and take the stuff off of them, there are a total of 2 more doses of that poison, and about 18 crossbow bolts, 3 hand crossbows, a short bow, 12 arrows, and I'd say somebody roll a d10 and somebody roll a d20. Okay, 11 copper pieces and 7 silver pieces and 3 gold pieces on their persons. What one might refer to as chump change.
What chumps? I'm assuming the interrogation will start next session.
Mm-hmm. And everybody just make a quick perception check real quick.
19
Okay.
with disadvantage.
17.
Whoops.
Okay. And you have advantage on it, Zach, but 19's more than good enough. So Isaac, as you're kind of looking over the bed rolls, you notice that there seem to be enough for all of these people plus 3 other individuals. And Cypress, as you're kind of recollecting, you recall that 3 did leave shortly before this all started happening. So there are 3 more Fellhoods out in the wild who could be out there waiting to come back at you. So that said, we're going to go ahead and end the session here. During the next week, just kind of plan out what you're going to be doing moving forward. You do have an interrogation opportunity here, of course, and naturally there is a possibility for ambushing those 3 that come back. Entirely up to you guys how you want to do it. I'm going to go ahead and stop the stream. Thanks for watching, Andy, if you stayed on this long, and we'll go ahead and pick it up next session.